Good morning, y'all, and welcome back to my channel. Thank y'all so much for tapping back in to see what I have to say. I promise y'all, it truly does mean the world to me. But with that being said, what are we talking about? We're talking about Quant Network in this one, okay, you guys? Now, in the last video, we talked about Quant Net and then building out the institutional internet of value. And we're diving even deeper into that because literally, you guys, as more and more regulation gets laid, like the Clarity Act or whatever comes out of the Senate, we are, especially with this, I even have a video coming out with Brian Stiles, who is a part of the House's Digital Asset Committee. And he talks about how he's not feeling like this shutdown is going to stall having regulation by the end of the year. But there's no coincidence because we know we have global standards going live by the end of the year. Things like ISO 20022, okay? Follow me on this. So when this very first video, it is a guy from a EY event talking about literally, you guys, I want y'all to really wrap y'all minds around the figures of these numbers because he's talking about the number of different markets and how they're literally only waiting for regulation and how a huge swath of all of these markets will be tokenized and pulled into the DLT systems and networks. And understand, EY is coupled with who? Quant. It's already been said multiple different times with things like the RLN, so forth and so on, you guys. Follow me on this, okay? Follow me. But here we go. This very first video, I want you to hear the words out of his mouth because he's literally saying that there's a reservoir of capital just waiting for regulation to take place and that floodgates will open. Follow me on this, okay? You guys, I'm always going somewhere and all roads lead to Quant Network. I'll be right back.
With Paul Brody from an event that took place hosted by EY, where he talks about this liquidity reservoir, this dam of liquidity that's being held up by regulations. And now we're starting to see this unlock. Take a second and listen just to give you guys a perspective of how much money could possibly flood into crypto and digital assets.
This part of the conversation is called the Great Liquidity Reservoir, and I am going to struggle to convey just how much capital there is behind this regulatory dam, because the numbers are just monumental, right? How much money is there? Well, let's start with the most liquid of the liquid, right? Bank deposits, stocks, and bonds. $400 trillion. Right? Certainly more than my current retirement nest egg, and plenty of money to buy you a nice place in central London or San Francisco, right? 400 trillion. There's another 379 trillion in real estate, right? Gold is 13 trillion by itself. And then you get to the entire crypto ecosystem is like 2.5 trillion, right? I'm not going to say all of this money is going into crypto, but quite a lot of it will end up in crypto, and a huge amount of it is going to end up in tokenized digital assets.
Now that videos come from my boy CYPRX, bro, you rock, man. So listen, you guys, truly understand. Quant Network is right there, building out this framework and have been right there building out this framework so that these things can start becoming a reality. And I say that because there's things like the G20 Agenda 2030 roadmap. And there's key things need to be hit by certain times. And the digitization of commercial bank and central bank money by certain dates, like we want wholesale by 2026. What's next year, you guys? What is literally within 2 months or 3 months of this video? I think this is like October. So we got November, December, y'all, that's it. We also have ISO 20022 going live this November 22nd. Now, truly understand and see, now we have regulation, bam, 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 being laid in all of these multiple countries simultaneously that I've been bringing y'all now for months. And now we have the convergence of things like QuantNet being birthed. And now we see things like the tokenized deposits things happening over in the UK. All of these things are converging at the same time. Follow me on this, okay, you guys? But we have Gilbert Verdian himself talking about the institutional flow of everything just waiting on regulation and what's going to happen afterward and how they're part of it. And I'll be right back.
engage as regulators is quite important. So the regulation has been a key challenge, and that's been positive recently. So we're seeing clearer regulation come out. Institutions are very receptive to that, and they just want to understand what are the rules for us. Followed by standards. It's very important to create technology and market infrastructure that is standardized, because it makes it easier for institutions to adopt and change as they need. Integrating something into core banking is a very complicated process. They don't want to do that every few years. And then finally, it's a novel technology. So implementing that in a way where it benefits their business models, but also benefits how they use the technology to make it better, quicker, cheaper, as Victoria was saying. So for us, it's really implementing that foundational layer correctly at the beginning. And what we're seeing with the work that we've done with central banks and now the work with commercial banks is they're all working together. I don't know a central bank or a commercial bank that is not exploring, piloting or implementing DLT in the world. It is that much of an uptake. And so what they're doing is, for the first time, rather than waiting for regulation to come down and say, you will go off and do this, they're actually collaborating and cooperating with each other to create this new infrastructure, because they have a seat at the table and have a say.
Now, y'all just heard everything out of Gilbert's mouth. Now, I know I brought that before, but words have context and matter. So even if it's an interview from a couple months ago or a year ago, you can see how what was said then completely mirrors what's happening now, which means I had a front row seat at the table when these decisions were being made. Okay? Follow me on this. So here we go. So the gentleman from EY from early in the video who was talking about all that capital, now I have another interview from him, from a more recent interview, talking about how that reservoir that he was talking about, where the floodgates have now opened. Truly understand what regulation like the Genius Act did, getting the banks in alignment with regulation and stable coins. Think about things like what the Clarity Act or whatever comes out of the Senate is going to be for the entire market. So we're talking about not just the banking rails, but we're also talking about the securities market and the commodities market. We're talking about literally the whole blanketed financial system of America being operable and interoperable with blockchain. Understand truly what's happening right now in 2025, you guys, and that we're at the point of them codifying the law, not to ban it, but to make it a thriving success. Remember, they all keep saying they want to be the crypto capital of the world, and they're moving full steam ahead towards that, okay? But here we go, that interview, I think it was just actually a few weeks ago, him talking about how that reservoir with all of that money, y'all, the next few years is going to be incredible. Here we go. I'll be right back.
Paul Brody, the global blockchain leader at EY, recently said on a panel discussion.
So we're at the beginning of what I expect to be a long game of regulatory and operational and business convergence. We are relatively few years away from a point where it's not really going to be possible to tell the difference between an on-chain financial service and an off-chain financial service. The differentiation between TradFi and DeFi is basically going to disappear. And there's an old saying, and I don't know where it came from, but organizations that oppose each other tend to eventually come to resemble each other. And that's exactly what's happening. So the banks are busy getting into crypto, and the crypto companies are busy getting banking licenses, and everyone's getting ready to launch a stable coin. So eventually these things are going to converge to the point where it's not going to be really visible who's doing what.
I love that saying, actually. I haven't heard it before, but that's a really interesting way to put it. In terms of, touching on or starting off with at least the big established financial institutions and the big corporates, what is the state of play from what you're seeing? Has there been a lot of progress made in terms of how they're engaging with blockchain and digital assets? Are we still in that early experimentation phase, or are we seeing a much more clearer route to scaled up adoption?
We're in the dam just broke phase.
So
y'all understand, the institutions, they're not coming. Y'all, they're here. They're only waiting on the green light from regulations. And understand when you have things that have built out all of these regulatory processes globally, truly understand and see, okay, you guys? And I have another video coming, and it's Gilbert talking about all of the different use cases that can be built out, and all of these use cases processing using QNT. Understand what you hold when you hold Quant Network token, because it truly is literally, you guys, the fabric of the internet of not just trust, but value. And that is major. Okay, you guys, follow me on this. I'm always going somewhere. Here we go. That video from Gilbert, and I will be right back.
Anyone hosting gateways to run their own gateway on their own servers and their infrastructure, that means they will pay for licenses in QNT, and all the transactions can be billed using QNT across the network. And so our job is to create this open ecosystem where anyone can be a participant, where Duke is in the background bringing enterprise and institutional use cases to the network. We have lots and lots of meetings every week with governments, with enterprise, with institutions, with clients who want to build new technology and new what we call MDAPs, so multi DLT, distributed applications on top of the network. So the QNT token is at the core of everything that we're doing. And what happens is, if you own gateways and you run this on the network, when you process transactions, you get paid in QNT. It's a great ecosystem that we're building, and this will evolve. You know, we want to make it the currency and the payment option for all the data and the transactions that are being put on the network, so people can actually trade in QNT, and it can be used for hundreds and hundreds of use cases around, AI, data. If you want to do an MDAP on payments, if you want to do an MDAP as an exchange, if you want to do anything, compute, if you want to create like an AWS equivalent on the Overledger network, all of this is possible. So QNT has just become that, pure utility token that can be used for everything.
Now listen, y'all just saw that. Understand, you saw all of the capital from the beginning of this video with that gentleman from EY and all of the markets that we're talking that across the trillions of dollars that are all now moving full steam ahead into the integration of DLT within those processes. Truly see a player like a Quant Network and truly what they are doing with making that not just a reality, but a regulatory reality, which is incredible, because you had a hand in not just crafting the standards, not just crafting the technology, but then also sitting back and helping to craft the laws, because Gilbert sits on multiple different seats across the lands. Now, I'm not just saying that, you guys just look and see. It's insane. But to know that Quant is there, and to know what the future can hold and mean for anyone who's paying attention for this infrastructure layer of 2025 that's going down as the adoption layer of 2026 first starts. And like I said, it's going to start with the institutions, but by 2028, y'all, it is going to be live retail. It's going to be us. That is the part of the roadmap. That is the part of Agenda 2030's roadmap. Us by 2028. And whether that's coming from saying, hey, here's stimulus, download this digital ID, and we will send you stimulus inside of the digital wallet that's attached to that digital ID. Like, truly understand, like the UK, I got a video coming out about it, the UK literally making it mandatory for work and housing. That is insane. Which means that you can't get around this process of being digitized. And understand, just like with the money aspect, Overledger is right there as well with the digital ID aspect as well. Got a video coming out about it. Follow me on it, okay, you guys? But I really thank y'all for tapping in. I thank y'all for tuning in. Understand that Quant Network truly is, in my eyes, the opportunity of a lifetime. And at this point in time, it's not just them talking, but it's them showing us in real time they are who they are, and they are truly Web3 being birthed in front of our eyes. So if you made it all the way through this entire video, first, I thank each and every single one of y'all. For real, I really do. We're on the road to 5,000, and that is crazy. But if you made it all the way through, type in Quant and EY, because that relationship that they have with EY, which we already know, that has already been confirmed on multiple different things, and most recently from the tokenized deposits in the UK, literally from last week, with that announcement was crazy. That relationship and how it's going to usher in so many institutions on so many different levels into the realm of Web3 as this regulation gets laid is going to be mind-blowing. 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029. That's why Gilbert said in that video, by 2035, DLT will be a norm, you guys. How will it be a norm by 2035? That means starting the onboarding process of all of these. Like, prime example, I have a video coming out about hedera, and literally drop, it is a payment processor that can do very small increments up into very large increments, but it's a drop, right? But they're getting integrated into some of the gas station payment systems in the country. So what that means is they're building out the back end infrastructure. So when their customers go inside of, I believe one of them was Citco, you can now pay with your stable coin that's in your digital wallet that you probably got for downloading your digital ID. Understand what's happening right now. The infrastructure is already in place because it's already been integrated into hedera. Understand what's happening, you guys. So much is going on right now in the realm of Web3. So much, you guys. I really appreciate all of y'all for tapping in. If you made it all the way through, like I said, type in Quant and EY. And I know that you roll with your boy through this entire video. Till the next time, y'all already know. Peace out.